Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is your favorite crypto trading show. I'm your host, Clutch Crypto. We got B. Wellington, the winner of yesterday's bet. Did we start dropping like literally right after we got off of the show, man? Luckily, my conditional order didn't trigger, so I didn't get into a big loss. But I tell you who made some money yesterday, and that was B. Wellington on that short move. And man, did we drop. We got the CPI data out, the Fed still slapping that hammer down, and uh, what's coming up? What can we expect the rest of the week, maybe even the month, with what's next for crypto, with the continuation of the Fed increasing the hikes, and I think B. Wellington's going to be able to really kind of show us from a chart perspective, long term, what we're looking at for the next week, maybe into next week. So, B. Wellington, bless us with all the info that you got and are willing to share.
Well, I'm willing to share all of it. There's nothing to hold back. I mean, this is the daily. We talked about this, that we were due for red day, and here's our red day. I mean,
Oh
this was
man, you got
pretty.
you got red dot up there, the RSI, the waves down at the bottom, at the top of it. I mean, this looks like we could just fall off the cliff.
I wouldn't say that we go off of the cliff at this point. But because even though we did come in, we've got this red candle or this red dot here. We've got EMAs, RSI, stochastical pointing down. I mean, these can easily come back up, and we still got on balance volume pretty high. But I mean, if you look at the volume that came in on this move down here, moves down here. So I wouldn't put too much into the fact that we're going to continue down. But I would say this is a good correction relative to coming back, touching the 50 here. It wouldn't surprise me if we got down to last week's low, which is in the kind of that 1400 areas. But we have started to settle in. All that move, I mean, most of that move happened before the open. So got to be careful now. We're kind of in the middle of that, first 15 minutes. I like to see the first 45 minutes of the open kind of move along before we really start making a whole lot of decisions. But definitely this move here, you know, and what the funny thing is, I think, I've been reading a lot about the men. Everybody's predicting a short squeeze, short squeeze, short squeeze. And so, you had a lot of movement, and I think what happened was the algorithms are moving to the negative, meaning they're starting to close their shorts and things of that nature, which would indicate that potentially move to the upside. But overall CPI data coming out, the Fed's been very hawkish. There's no sign of a pivot, relative to what they're doing. So it's hard to manipulate the Fed, but I think this move that we got up to the 1740s this morning was probably the manipulation, and then we got brought back down. So right now, as far as the hourly is concerned, we're hitting back on this on the 800 on the hourly. Also, I've got kind of this yellow dotted line here. This would be, whenever you see or whenever I see, vectors that kind of move out of a zone. Yeah, we're going to come back to those vectors, but generally it's something that's breaking out of something that was seen as resistance prior. And so you almost always have these folks come back into these areas. And so, it wouldn't surprise me if we had somewhat of a bounce coming back into this area. But we've gone well past, this line here at the 1645, but we'll kind of see what happens. The next low that's on the chart is going to be at this 1425. That not next low, but I think next reasonable low, just based upon some of the other things that have happened. It's going to come into this area or coming down this 1285, and I think 1265 is where you've got some other activity going on, Brandon. But I mean, look at the amount of volume that came in on this move to the downside. I mean, this was a major
Absolutely, it
kind
is.
of,
That's huge.
yeah, huge. But I mean, if you look at this one, we had a big dump coming in here as well. Not as much, but came down, played around this area, and then we move right back up. So potentially we've got the second. We've got to move to the upside. I think coming fairly quickly. Even if we move back down to the downside, I think a move to the upside can happen. And I just wanted to show this. This is the funding rate that we've been looking at. I don't, some of the funding rate especially with ETH, with the ETH merge and all that stuff. There's a lot of algorithms in here. I think people are starting to play around with this funding rate as well, which you can do because you do get paid if you're on the other side. So if you load up to the other side and you're just receiving a rate, and then using, if you have enough size to move the market in the other direction, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. But we'll just have to see kind of how it happens. But if you look at things like what's happening in the last hour, you've got on the Binance, you've got this move to the downside, but OI is popping up, which means that you've either got a lot of folks that are buying or you got a lot of folks that are going short. I would imagine that you've probably got some folks that are going short in this area. So at some point, this is going to reverse to the upside and take out the folks who are getting on board here. We've had quite a bit of liquidations on the long side as well. Kind of the buy sell volume, aggravated spots kind of flat, right? So we had this move to the downside, but we've also got CVD spot kind of moving back up to the upside. So I don't know. We're kind of holding tight here for the moment. Move to the upside wouldn't surprise me. Not a huge move, but just a correction from an overcorrection. We've got futures were negative. Well, actually, futures were positive, then they went negative as soon as the CPI numbers came out. And here we are. We've got S&P down 2.25%, Dow down 1.83, NASDAQ 2.95. So a lot of everybody's basically on their back right now, crawling around. We've got oil at 88. Gold is down 1.5. I mean, it's just a nasty morning with the CPI data because everybody anticipates what the Fed's going to do. So just looking at the CPI numbers, core CPI at 0.6 was expected at 0.3, an increase over the last reading of 0.3. So 8.3 was a year over year. So, still coming down, but still more than what was expected. Core CPI year on year, 6.3%. Versus the 6.0 that was expected. So again, numbers coming in hot. I think after the last reading last month, people were thinking that was going to continue down with what the Fed was doing. That did not happen. And so markets are reacting to that. And then we've got Fed meeting coming up next week, but we also have jobless claims, retail sales, which all of this seems like it doesn't even matter anymore since we've just had this CPI number. But we'll see. But we've got Fed meeting Wednesday of next week, the 21st. Put it on your calendar, folks. It's going to be coming in, and I expect the Fed to come in very hot. I expect the Fed to lay the hammer down. I expect more turmoil for the markets, but the markets may surprise you and move to the upside if we all expect the market's going to go down. What does the market generally do?
It's going to go up.
Thank you.
Hey,
we got Clutch.
Hey, man, this sidewalk capital. Look at these liquidations. Hey, I was funny to note. Yesterday, we were sitting around, was it 10, 13 positive billion dollars on the liquidation delta?
It was nice.
And now we're negative.
In one candle.
6.5 billion. 24 hours, we've gone from end to end, and they wiped out over $15 billion, dude, in one day. So that's pretty impressive to say the least. It looks like these big long liquidations have been accounted for. What's left on the table for the short side? We have a very big liquidation at 1683 for $268 million. And we have another one at 1733 for the same 268 million. These are just estimates, but this is 150 and 25x leverage. The 100x has been accounted for and it has been claimed. These two guys are still out here on the chopping block per se. So if there's any sign, any possibility of some positive upside, I'm going to say it's to go get these guys. Do they always come back and get them if they're wanting to do a big price or a direction movement? Absolutely not. So we could continue to the downside. So let's go take a look at Bookmap to see if we can get a little bit better idea of what's going on. You know, when you can see that guy. So as you can see, we're starting to, we came down here, we touched the 1600, and after that, we pretty much scooped up all that liquidity right there. We did have some more shorts jump on board. We're ranging our way back up to 1620 right now. But there's nothing stopping us from going down right now. But as you can see, we're more heavily weighted to the upside. But this may just be temporary. So to get a better idea of what we're looking at, I am just going to zoom out. Let this load real quick, guys. This is, as you guys know. So we have we had some long-term liquidity, and they added some more down here recently, about right before the New York Open, actually about 15 minutes prior to that, and they stacked it down here at 1500. Looks like us breaking below 1600 right now is it's kind of the big resistance area that we need to get through. So if we can get through that 1600, I think we may definitely be on a ride to the downside. However, we're in a tight spot right now because we do have a lot of long-term liquidity to the upside, and 1800 is present. So I honestly, guys, the best thing to do is just kind of sit back. Let's wait. 1630, we get above that area, go ahead and expect that we're going to go get that 1670 area for that short liquidation that's up there. However, if we break below that 1600 mark, go ahead and count on us heading down to 1500. And I know that's not a big price direction, but as B. Wellington mentioned this morning, there's a ton of uncertainty going on with the Fed news, and every day we have the Fed news, it's usually a crazy trading day. So for us to get the right direction and be on the right side of trade, I know it's so hard to ask this, but patience is definitely something that we need to have on our side today. So again, below 1600, go after that short. Above 1630, I think we'll be good up to about 1670. Reclaim that that short liquidation that's up there. So maybe throw some conditional orders in, or however it is that you trade. But I do think we're going to overall see some downtime this week as far as price direction goes. So
you went all the way out. You went all the way projecting out to the week. You're really
yeah, man.
What's gonna happen today, Clutch? That's what the people want to know.
Hey, man, if we can get over at 1630, we're going up. But that's going to be a push.
1630, we've already gone up. If we are at 1630, we've already gone up.
Well, hey, man, are you in a trade right now?
No.
Because you're doing what? You're waiting. You're being patient to see what's going to happen.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I'm telling our people to do.
Hey, man.
We lead by example around here.
Are we going up or down? I'm gonna do you like you do me. Are we going up or down? I need some. Are we going down? He's calling down. All right, buddy.
I ain't taking my profit till I get to 1263. Because we're going to go to that CME. That's right, folks. You heard it here. That's where I'm putting my TP at.
Gotcha.
We may not get to it till next week, though. We'll see.
That's a lot.
It may be a long trade.
Start calling you.
It might be a long
Michael
trade.
Jackson. You over there? You moonwalking a whole lot over there.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Till next time, AMF, and hey, stay frosty.